Alright, hey guys, here's a new week of Force of Will news. So just got done with the Q&A as well as some other things that we'll be going over. So we'll dive right into it. Before we get into it, just want to remind you that we do still have the giveaway going on right now. That'll be going on till this upcoming Friday. Friday the 2nd. So if you want to enter that, I'll put a link in the description below to the video with instructions on different ways to enter to get that playmat bag and sleeves. And stay tuned till the end of the video for a couple more channel updates. So yeah, we'll get right into this now. So first announcement is just a quick one. Today, the day that we're uploading the video, is when they're going to be releasing the promos for July. So if you haven't seen those, you can go to the Force of Will website and look at them, or you can wait till we do the spoilers on Thursday night, I believe. And I'll also go over the promos like we usually do as well. For the upcoming spoilers this Thursday, Jordan said that they're going to be revealing one of the rulers, and the following day of spoilers, so the following Monday night, they'll be revealing support for the previously revealed ruler. And that's going to be the format going forward for the remainder of the spoilers for the next 2 or 3 weeks or whatever's left. Is going to be ruler and then the support for the ruler, he said. When asked if the font style is going to be changing at the top of the card, so one of the big complaints when they switched the font from the old one back in Alice Cluster to the newer one, which I believe they first switched in BFA, was that it's somewhat hard to read, especially mainly the title is all the font is used for. And he did say that it is something they're looking into. He stressed that they're not redesigning any of the card, they're not doing any sort of ground up altercations. It's simply the font that they're looking at, maybe making it more legible. He said nothing's finalized till it's actually out and printed, but to keep an eye out for that as well. Once again, he wanted to make a distinction. This is a distinction some of you might have seen like on the Force of Will US page, but that loss of life is not the same as pain life. So you have that new Gil card that we talked about in the last spoiler video, where he makes it so that you don't lose life due to loss of life effects of cards and different things like that. Like there's a chant that you pay 500, or you not pay, but you remove a card from the game and you lose 500 life, it stops that effect. So you won't lose life. However, cards that you pay life, like the final battle, I believe it was, where you pay 200 life, and for every 200 life, your opponent's resonators gain -100, you're not actually losing life, you're paying life, so Gil does not affect that at all. So he wanted to reiterate that distinction. And so that's good for you guys to know as well. And on that as well, he did say that CR updates for the rulings and all that do come with the set release. So he said just because it's not in there or specified right now, doesn't really mean anything, because the rules aren't updated until the box actually comes out. So just keep a lookout for the rules when the set actually releases. In case you guys didn't notice, the Excalibur card that was in there that was spoiled in the last spoiler set was a chant, and it's our very first chant that is a SR, super rare, or whatever the exact term is for that. He did say that there's going to be a couple more chants like that, so that'll be kind of cool to look forward to. Super rare chants, it's a new thing. He did also confirm that the next set will have Cthulhu's in it, so if you're a big Cthulhu fan, woo! When asked if the blue starter deck's play will be more coherent than the last starter deck, he did say that all of the starter decks are going to be a lot more coherent and just work a lot better. And he said, in fact, the blue deck, starter deck, is going to be an entirely new concept. And he did say that all the starter decks, all 5 of them, are going to be introducing new mechanics or abilities, different things like that. So that'll be really interesting and cool to look forward to. Like the last starter decks, I believe the yellow one is the one that introduced the force roll that continued on through the set with a it continued off and on. I guess it actually rolled into the Millennium 2.0, but it introduced that mechanic. So I'd assume something similar to that, but all the decks are going to be introducing stuff. He said that we will see the new box, the booster box, the new design for it and what it looks like before the next cluster comes out officially. They just don't know an exact date yet, but I am pretty excited to find that out. And he did also confirm that the fighter starter deck is basically your traditional beatdown with really strong resonators and burn effects, different things like that. But he did stress that there is the core mechanic inside of it that he's not revealing yet. He's waiting to be a surprise, and that's sort of going to be the big part of it. He did also confirm that those 2 rulers that have been spoiled that work with Will of Hope and Will of Despair are the only 2 rulers that are going to be working with those sort of subtypes of Will of Hope and Will of Despair. None of the other rulers are going to, as of right now, interact with that. He did say, going back to how they're going to be spoiling rulers and then the support for them, this next ruler coming up this Thursday night that's going to be spoiled will be a fire ruler, and it's going to be that one that everyone sees on the book that they say looks like Wukong, but he stressed that it is not Wukong. He just looks similar to Wukong, and I assume we'll find out a little bit more about that this Thursday night when it is spoiled. When asked if there's going to be any rulers in the next set similar to like Valkyrie Alice, where there's a couple of them that have the same front of the ruler but the back of it is different, and he did say no. And that also carries over to the BFA rulers, where all 5 rulers were the same front but different backs. It sounds like they're not big fans of that, or going forward at least. When asked if there's going to be a new playstyle in the next cluster, he did say it does introduce newer playstyles just because of the numbers of new mechanics, fewer rulers, but more support for the rulers over a longer period of time. When asked, I think I mentioned this before about it, but when asked if the box topper that has that thing that looks like a weird dead Idrisil, if he asked if that is a weird dead Idrisil, he said, no, it's obviously not Idrisil. It doesn't have a picture of the moose, and the moose is the star of the Idrisil tree. If he's not in it, it's not Idrisil. So put your hopes away, it's not Idrisil because it doesn't have that moose. And when asked if there's going to be any ancient magic cards besides the ones that have been spoiled so far, he said technically no. Not sure what technically no means, but I guess we'll find out. And he did say that Sylvia card that was spoiled, when asked if Sylvia is reanimated, he said that she's kind of like Faria, where she's not, you wouldn't exactly call her alive at this point in time. So just interesting thing to know. When asked if we could get a resonator that prevents us from sacking stones or resonators, essentially as an answer to Prisha, specifically I assume Prisha OTK, he said that there is something that is a possible answer to Prisha, but that the community as a whole probably won't agree that it's an answer to Prisha. But it is a way, he said it's a way to turn her stone recycling advantage into an advantage for yourself. Not sure what that means, if it's something where every time they recycle a stone, maybe it does some sort of, I'm not sure, will production or something for yourself, I don't know. There is something, whether it'll actually be an answer to Prisha or not, we'll see. And when asked if there was any hints as to what Water will do in the next set, he just said, draw a bunch of cards, among other things. And he said, look at Yogg, he's pretty good already. When asked if we're, because as I discussed in the last Force of Will news, the new booster boxes come with a set amount of stones, separate from the booster packs, so they no longer come in the booster packs. So when asked if we're gonna not be having hollow versions of those stones, because that was sort of a random chance you would get that in a booster pack, how would you get those hollow stones now if they're no longer in booster packs? And he said, as of right now, there's no hollow stones, those are just gone, but he said that could change in the future, so that's kind of a bummer, especially people looking to do max rarity decks, but hopefully they'll introduce some types of stone promos or hollows in Vingolf or something like that. When asked if we're going to end up getting the new starters, the new starter rulers in Uber form in some fashion, he said that there might be secret cards in the first set of the cluster. I feel like that means probably, if not Uber, some maybe Uber, not Uber, but rare version of the cards perhaps that might be available, and whether that's in the Uber rarity or maybe in the rarity Curse of the Frozen Casket full arts were in the last set. When he asked why the evolution mechanic, if you remember back quite a while ago, there was an evolution mechanic, why that never got further support and just sort of died out. He said that unfortunately it just didn't become a thing, and that the new cluster going forward will be much better at supporting things going forward. So that's good to know, that especially if you find a new mechanic or a new feature that you like in a card, you don't have to worry about, oh, this is cool, and then never getting support for it again. It sounds like they're going to be much better at finding what they like, doing it, and always supporting it going forward, with the exception maybe of Vingolf stuff. When asked if in the Wanderer format, if Levantine is ever going to be unbanned, he said wait for Echoes of the New World. The reason he said that is because when a new set releases is when they announce some, if any, bans. mainly in Wander, because right now the only ban that exists in New Frontiers is Reflect Refrain. Him not outrightly denying it, if that's telling of maybe they're going to unban it for Wander or something else maybe will happen. Don't know. We'll see what you guys think of that, because right now I do find it interesting that in Wander, even with Levantine ban, Prisha is still one of the biggest winners in Wander. So if Levantine would change that because it gives other rulers the ability to do similar things, or if it'll just cement that, we'll see, but something to see how that unfolds. When asked if we're going to be seeing void cards in this Echoes of the New World set coming out, he said, "We will." And Oscar wanted to point out that he really hopes it's machines, because machines, once again, we haven't really seen anything outside of BFA. There's been like 1 or 2 things sprinkled in. There was the one in Bingo 3, but they sort of just died off, and they're pretty interesting, so hopefully there's something. Now, when asked if they're going to be continuing to use abilities, or if there's going to be similar things to God's Arts going forward in Rulers, or if that's something they're not doing anymore, and he said there is going to be similar abilities going forward, I assume maybe in the next set, but probably most likely the next cluster. There will be similar things to God's Arts, like one-off abilities, different things like that, but it's going to be different. It'll be called something different and maybe work a little bit differently. So maybe it'll be something like you can only do it once per flip, so you can J-activate, do an effect, but you can't do it again until you flip and flip back. We don't know, we'll find out, but he did say it's different but similar to God's Arts going forward, so it sounds like God's Arts aren't going to be a thing anymore. When asked if other characters are going to, since we saw like Sylvia, Mikage, different things like that already spoiled, if other characters will be making appearances in this upcoming set, and he did said most of the characters are going to be making appearances. When asked if True Stones are ever going to become a thing again, in case you guys aren't too familiar, because they're not really too much of a thing right now. True Stones are like special magic stones, except you can only have one in your deck because they do generally pretty strong things. The most popular one back in the day was Little Red the Pure Stone. When asked if that's going to be coming back, he said that they have been talking about it, bringing True Stones back in some fashion. Nothing in the immediate future, but it is something they're looking at going forward at some point, maybe even in the next cluster. And he did say the next cluster will have stones that produce more than 2 colors. He did say there's not going to be anything like Ruler's Memoria where it just produces all 5 colors, but there will be some things. He said you'll see when it comes out. So it might be something that has a certain prerequisite before you can produce those additional colors or something. So we'll wait and find out. But that's something cool that is still going to be sticking around in some fashion. When asked if there's going to be cancels in the next cluster, similar to Seal of Wind and Light, he said there won't be anything exactly like Seal of Wind and Light where it's just a 2-cost cancel target spell or anything like that. There will be some counters and some cancels, but nothing that's essentially similar to Seal of Wind and Light and different things like that where it's just a straight cancel. So that's probably really good news for most people, bad news for all green decks essentially. But like he made sure to make clear was that it doesn't have, that they want to make sure to do different types of cards and they're not just reprinting the same card over and over again essentially. He also did say that starting I believe today or tonight, from whenever this video is released, they're going to be releasing information about Architects and Casters. So if you're not familiar, Architects and Casters is 2 different card games that the company Force of Will is making. So it's separate than Force of Will. One of them I think isn't even coming to the US, but we'll see. It might be actually. But those 2 different ones, we'll be starting to get information for that starting tonight. So we're going to be finding out more information about Architects and Casters in the next week or so, and then moving forward is when they're going to start releasing more product information about that. So that's something to look forward to if you're interested in that. Depending on the amount and volume of information, we might just tack it onto these Force of Will news videos, or we'll, if you guys want to, if you're still stuck around with this Force of Will news, let us know in the comments below if you want to have a completely separate video maybe, just talking about Architects and Casters going forward. That would make every week or 2 depending on the volume of information. As far as channel news, like I said, make sure you check into that giveaway we're doing. And we're going to try and start releasing more gameplay videos. We sort of, just between the news and the spoilers and different things like that, we've sort of slacked off on the games just because the amount of time it takes to put into them and stuff like that. Well, not time, but just different things, because we want to try and make new decks, so we're not just showing you the same things over and over again. But we will be releasing those pretty soon here. I made it just to get you guys interested. If you're still here, I did make a deck that revolves around spirit resonators because I thought that was kind of cool and I haven't really seen anyone use it. So we have that. We have another sabotage game coming out, since that, like I said, if it got more than 10 views, we'll make another one. So we're gonna make another one, and lots of other stuff is gonna be going on, so stay tuned, and thanks for all you guys' support. See you next time.